Months passed, and life at the Alaskan base settled into a rhythm of cautious optimism. Ryan and his team continued their work with the alien sphere, sending regular transmissions into space and analyzing its responses, or lack thereof. While no direct replies had come yet, subtle shifts in the sphere's energy patterns hinted that their messages were being received. Each day brought new data to study, new possibilities to consider. The world beyond the base remained largely unaware of the magnitude of what had happened, but within their small circle, hope burned steadily. One crisp morning, as snow blanketed the ground and the air carried a biting chill, the sphere began emitting a faint hum, unlike anything it had produced before. Lissa noticed it first, her eyes widening as she rushed to examine the device. "Something's different," she said, her voice tinged with excitement. "It's reacting, like it's trying to communicate." The team gathered around, their breaths visible in the cold air. Emily quickly connected the sphere to her laptop, running diagnostics to interpret the changes. After several tense minutes, she looked up, her face glowing with awe. "It's a message," she whispered. "Not just random signals. This is deliberate. They're responding." Ryan felt a surge of adrenaline. "Can you translate it?" Emily nodded, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Slowly, fragments of meaning emerged. The message was brief but clear. "We see your efforts. We will return." The room fell silent as the weight of those words sank in. Humanity wasn't alone, and the aliens weren't abandoning them. For the first time, there was tangible proof that their attempts at communication had been successful. A sense of relief washed over the team, followed by renewed determination. News of the message reached the higher authorities, sparking both caution and celebration. World leaders debated how best to prepare for the aliens' eventual return, balancing defense strategies with diplomatic initiatives. Publicly, governments remained tight-lipped about the encounter, but behind closed doors, plans were drawn up to ensure Earth would be ready, not just militarily, but culturally and scientifically. As weeks turned into months, people across the globe began to feel the ripple effects of the discovery. Artists painted visions of distant planets, musicians composed symphonies inspired by the idea of cosmic unity, and scientists pushed the boundaries of technology in anticipation of further contact. Humanity had always dreamed of reaching the stars. Now, the stars seemed to be reaching back. Back in Alaska, Ryan stood outside one evening, gazing up at the night sky. The auroras danced overhead, casting shimmering greens and purples across the horizon. Beside him, Emily wrapped her coat tighter against the cold. "Do you think we'll ever really understand them?" she asked quietly. Ryan smiled, his eyes fixed on the stars. "Maybe not completely, but I think that's okay. Understanding isn't always about having all the answers. It's about being willing to ask the questions." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden flash of light in the distance. Both turned sharply, shielding their eyes as a familiar hum filled the air. Emerging from the glow was the sleek outline of an alien ship, the same one they had encountered months ago. This time, however, it didn't hover silently. Instead, it descended gently to the ground, its surface rippling like water as a doorway opened. Zorvath stepped out, accompanied by two others. His large eyes scanned the humans before him, lingering on Ryan. Then, in halting but recognizable English, he spoke. "You have shown courage. We wish to learn more." The moment hung heavy with significance. Ryan extended his hand, and after a pause, Zorvath mirrored the gesture. Their touch bridged worlds, symbolizing the fragile yet hopeful bond between species. In the days that followed, humanity and the Valens embarked on a new chapter of cooperation. Together, they exchanged knowledge, shared technologies, and worked toward mutual understanding. Challenges remained, differences in culture, language, and perspective, but the foundation laid by Ryan and his team proved strong enough to endure. As Ryan looked up at the stars once more, he felt a quiet pride. Earth had taken its first steps into the cosmos, guided not by fear or conquest, but by curiosity and respect. The journey ahead would be long and uncertain, but for the first time, humanity wasn't walking it alone. The days following the aliens' departure were filled with reflection and uncertainty. Ryan and his team worked tirelessly to document every detail of their encounters, knowing the information would be critical for humanity's future interactions with the Valens. The metallic sphere Zorveth had left behind became the centerpiece of their efforts. It pulsed faintly with a soft blue light, emitting low-frequency vibrations that seemed almost alive. Lissa spent hours studying it, trying to decipher its functions, while Emily focused on translating the symbols and messages exchanged during their final meeting. Meanwhile, news of the encounter began to spread cautiously among government officials. At first, only a select group of high-ranking officers and scientists were informed, sworn to secrecy to prevent panic. But whispers of alien contact inevitably leaked into broader circles, sparking both excitement and fear. Some saw it as an opportunity for humanity to step onto the galactic stage, while others viewed it as a potential threat that needed to be contained. Ryan found himself caught in the middle of these debates. He was summoned to a secure facility in Washington, D.C., where he presented his findings to a panel of military leaders, politicians, and experts. The room was tense as he recounted the events in Alaska. The initial sightings, the simulated exercise, and the cultural exchange. When he described Zorveth's gesture of leaving the communication device, a murmur rippled through the audience. "This is unprecedented," one scientist said, her voice tinged with awe. "We've gone from assuming we're alone in the universe to realizing there are others out there. And they want to talk." But not everyone shared her optimism. A stern-faced general leaned forward, his expression skeptical. "How do we know this isn't a trap? For all we know, they could be planning something, waiting for us to let our guard down." Ryan met the man's gaze steadily. "I understand your concerns, sir, but based on what we've observed, their actions haven't been hostile. They've shown curiosity, respect, and even restraint. If we approach this with fear instead of openness, we risk losing a chance at something greater." His words sparked heated discussions, but slowly opinions began to shift. The decision was made to keep the discovery classified for now, allowing time to study the alien device and prepare for any future contact. However, a tentative agreement was reached. Humanity would focus on peaceful engagement unless provoked otherwise. Back in Alaska, the team continued their work, using the sphere to send simple messages into space. Each transmission included greetings, mathematical sequences, and images of Earth's beauty. Though they received no immediate response, the act of reaching out gave them hope. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Ryan stood outside the base with Emily. The air was crisp, and the stars above seemed brighter than usual. "What do you think will happen next?" Emily asked, breaking the silence. Ryan shrugged, a small smile playing on his lips. "I don't know. Maybe nothing. Or maybe everything. But whatever happens, we've taken the first step. We've shown them, and ourselves, that we're ready to face the unknown." Emily nodded, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "Do you think they'll come back?" "I hope so," Ryan replied softly. "Because if they do, it means we've done something right." As they stood there, gazing up at the vast expanse of the cosmos, both felt a profound sense of connection, not just to each other or to Earth, but to something much larger. Humanity had crossed a threshold, stepping into a new era of possibilities. And though challenges lay ahead, the bond forged between humans and aliens offered a glimmer of hope for a brighter shared future. Back aboard their cloaked ship, the atmosphere was tense. Commander Zorveth gathered his crew for a final briefing before they prepared to leave Earth's orbit. The encounters with humanity had left them deeply divided. Some, like Lieutenant Vela, were convinced that Earth's people deserved a chance at peaceful coexistence. Others, led by Sub-Commander Kale, remained adamant that humanity posed too great a risk. "They are unpredictable," Kale argued, his voice sharp with frustration. Their emotions drive them to act impulsively. Even if they seem cooperative now, how can we be sure they won't turn on us when they learn more about us? Zorveth listened patiently, his expression unreadable. He understood Cal's concerns but couldn't ignore the evidence in front of him. Humanity had demonstrated intelligence, adaptability, and a willingness to connect. They weren't just warriors, they were creators, thinkers, and dreamers. Still, he knew that convincing his own crew, and ultimately their leaders back home, wouldn't be easy. We cannot base our decisions solely on fear, Zorveth said finally, his tone firm but calm. Yes, they are emotional and sometimes reckless, but those same traits make them capable of extraordinary things. Look at how they've evolved in such a short time. Imagine what they could achieve if given the chance. Kale shook his head, clearly unconvinced. And what if our leaders disagree? What if they see this as weakness on our part? Zorveth hesitated, then nodded slowly. Then we must present them with undeniable proof. We will share everything we've observed, their strength, their creativity, their capacity for cooperation. If we fail to do so, we risk condemning an entire species based on assumptions. As the debate continued, Zorveth made a quiet decision. Before leaving Earth, he would speak directly to Ryan Mitchell one last time. It was a risky move, but he felt it necessary. Perhaps a personal exchange, one that went beyond symbols and gestures, could bridge the gap between their two species. Meanwhile, back at the base, Ryan and his team were preparing for what they feared might be their final meeting with the aliens. Emily had compiled a detailed report of all their interactions, hoping it would help future generations understand the significance of what had happened. Lissa double-checked the equipment, ensuring it was ready for any last-minute communication attempts. Alex kept watch, his rifle slung over his shoulder, though he hoped it wouldn't come to violence. That night, the hum of the alien ship filled the air once again. The shimmer appeared in the clearing, and this time, only the leader stepped out. Ryan approached cautiously, holding up the tablet as a gesture of goodwill. To his surprise, the alien extended one long-fingered hand, pointing to his own chest. "Zorveth," he said, his voice soft and melodic. Ryan blinked in shock. "You have a name." The alien nodded, then pointed to Ryan. "Ryan." For a moment, Ryan was speechless. This was the first time the aliens had attempted spoken language, and it felt like a monumental step forward. He smiled faintly, repeating the names to confirm understanding. Zorveth. Ryan. In courage, Zorveth gestured toward the tablet and began adding new symbols. With Emily's help, Ryan quickly realized that Zorveth wanted to share something important. The message was clear. The aliens were leaving, but they hoped to return someday. In the meantime, they would leave behind a device, a small metallic sphere, that could facilitate future communication. Ryan accepted the gift with gratitude, knowing it represented hope for continued dialogue. As Zorveth turned to leave, he paused and looked back at Ryan, his large eyes filled with something resembling respect. Then, without another word, he stepped into the shimmering outline of the ship, which vanished moments later. Back at the base, the team sat together in stunned silence. They had done the impossible. They had made contact with an alien species and earned their respect. But Ryan knew the work was far from over. News of the encounter would eventually reach world leaders, sparking debates about humanity's place in the universe. As he gazed up at the stars, Ryan felt a mix of pride and determination. The road ahead would be challenging, but for the first time, humanity wasn't alone. And that thought gave him hope. The success of the simulation exercise marked a turning point in the interactions between the humans and the aliens. Both sides had demonstrated their capabilities, and the mutual respect that followed was palpable. Back aboard their cloaked ship, Commander Zorveth called another meeting with his crew to discuss the implications of what they had witnessed. "They are not just warriors," Zorveth said, his tone thoughtful as he addressed his team. Their strength lies not only in their physical abilities, but in their ability to think, adapt, and work together. If we were to engage them in conflict, it would not be an easy victory. Lieutenant Vela nodded in agreement. Their tactics during the simulation were impressive. They turned disadvantages into opportunities. That kind of creativity is rare, even among our own people. Sub-Commander Kale, however, remained skeptical. Creativity does not erase the fact that they are still a primitive species. Their technology is inferior, and their history shows a tendency toward violence. How can we trust them not to use what they learn against us? Zorvath turned to face Kale, his expression firm. Trust is earned, not given freely. But dismissing them outright because of their past would be a mistake. Have you considered that their willingness to show us their strengths, without resorting to aggression, is a sign of maturity? Perhaps they have evolved beyond their violent tendencies. Kale frowned but said nothing, clearly struggling to reconcile his doubts with Zorvath's perspective. The debate highlighted a growing divide within the crew. Some believe humanity could become valuable allies, while others feared their potential as adversaries. Back on Earth, Ryan and his team reflected on the simulation and its outcome. They had proven their skills, but Ryan knew the real challenge lay ahead. Building trust required more than displays of strength. It required vulnerability. He decided to take a bold step, sharing Earth's cultural achievements to give the aliens a deeper understanding of humanity's values. We need to show them who we are beyond soldiers, Ryan explained to his team. Art, music, science, these are the things that define us as a species. If they see the beauty and complexity of our world, maybe they'll understand why we're worth protecting. Emily immediately got to work compiling videos and images showcasing Earth's diversity. She included footage of artists painting, musicians performing, and scientists conducting groundbreaking experiments. Lissa added recordings of natural wonders, the northern lights, coral reefs, and towering mountains to highlight the planet's breathtaking landscapes. Alex contributed clips of everyday life, capturing moments of kindness and connection among people from different cultures. When the team returned to the clearing, they set up a large display screen surrounded by speakers. As night fell, the familiar hum signaled the arrival of the alien ship. The shimmer faded, revealing the three figures once again. This time, the leader stepped forward almost eagerly, his curiosity evident in his movements. Ryan gestured toward the screen and pressed play. The presentation began with sweeping views of Earth from space, followed by scenes of human creativity and innovation. Music swelled in the background, blending classical symphonies with modern beats. Images of families laughing, children playing, and communities coming together filled the screen. The aliens watched intently, their expressions softening as they absorbed the sights and sounds. At one point, a clip of a pianist playing a hauntingly beautiful melody caused the alien leader to pause. He tilted his head, listening closely, then made a sound of his own, a melodic hum that seemed to harmonize with the music. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes about their shared appreciation for art. When the presentation ended, the leader approached the tablet and added new symbols. Emily quickly translated them. "They're asking about emotions," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "They want to know how feelings shape our actions." Ryan smiled faintly. "Tell them it's complicated, but also beautiful." For hours, the two groups exchanged ideas, delving into topics that transcended language barriers. Through gestures, sounds, and shared visuals, they began to glimpse each other's worlds. By the time the aliens departed, there was a sense of progress, a fragile but hopeful connection that neither side wanted to break. As Ryan led his team back to the base, he felt a renewed determination. Humanity had taken another step toward proving its worth, not through force, but through the power of understanding and cooperation. The days following the second encounter with the aliens became a blur of activity for Ryan and his team. They spent hours reviewing every detail of the interaction, analyzing the symbols, images, and sounds exchanged. Emily worked tirelessly to decode the alien language, piecing together fragments of meaning from the patterns they had shared. Lissa fine-tuned the equipment, ensuring it was ready for future contact, while Alex kept a vigilant watch over the base, knowing that not everyone on Earth might respond to the situation with the same caution. Meanwhile, aboard their cloaked ship, Commander Zorvith faced growing tension among his crew. Not everyone shared his optimism about humanity's potential as allies. Lieutenant Vela remained supportive, but others, like Subcommander Kale, were openly skeptical. These humans are unpredictable, Kale argued during a heated meeting in the ship's command center. Their history is filled with violence and conflict. How can we trust them not to turn on us once they learn more about us? Zorvath listened patiently, his expression calm but resolute. Their past does not define their future, he replied. What I have observed so far suggests they value cooperation and understanding. Their leader, Ryan Mitchell, has shown wisdom and restraint. We must give them a chance. Kale crossed his arms, unconvinced. And what if our leaders disagree? They sent us here to assess whether Earth is a threat. If we return with reports of peaceful intentions, will they believe us, or see it as weakness on our part? Zorvath sighed deeply, recognizing the weight of Cal's concerns. His orders from the homeworld were clear: gather data and determine Earth's potential as either an ally or adversary. But Zorvath knew that submitting a report based solely on fear and mistrust would only lead to unnecessary conflict. He needed more evidence, something concrete to prove that humanity was worth engaging with. Back on Earth, Ryan wrestled with similar doubts. While he believed the aliens were sincere in their efforts to communicate, he couldn't ignore the possibility that their true intentions might still be hidden. To address this, he proposed another meeting, one where both sides could test each other's limits without resorting to hostility. We need to show them what we're capable of, Ryan explained to his team. Not just our technology, but our ability to think strategically and work together. If they respect us, they'll be less likely to see us as a threat. Emily nodded in agreement. We could set up a simulated exercise, a mock battle scenario. It would demonstrate our skills without putting anyone in real danger. Excited by the idea, the team began planning. Using the base's training facilities, they designed a holographic simulation that pitted their squad against a hypothetical alien force. The goal was simple: showcase humanity's adaptability, teamwork, and resilience under pressure. When the day of the simulation arrived, Ryan and his team returned to the clearing where they had met the aliens before. This time, they'd brought portable projectors and equipment to create the virtual battlefield. As they set up, the hum of the alien ship announced its arrival. The shimmer appeared, and 3 figures stepped out, including the tall leader who had become a familiar presence. Ryan greeted them with a respectful nod and gestured toward the setup. Through gestures and the tablet, he explained the concept of the simulation, a test of strength and strategy. The aliens watched intently, their expressions unreadable. After a moment, the leader signaled his agreement, and the exercise began. The humans moved with precision, coordinating attacks and defenses seamlessly. Even when the simulated alien forces gained the upper hand, the team adapted quickly, finding creative solutions to overcome obstacles. The aliens observed silently, their eyes tracking every movement. When the simulation ended, the humans emerged victorious, not because of brute force, but because of their ingenuity and teamwork. The alien leader stepped forward, making a low, melodic sound that seemed to convey approval. Then, using the tablet, he added new symbols, which Emily quickly translated. "They respect us," she said, her voice trembling with awe. "They see us as equals." For the first time, both sides felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps coexistence was possible after all. The days that followed the initial encounter were a whirlwind of activity. Ryan and his team worked tirelessly to process everything they had learned from their brief interaction with the aliens. Back at the base, the operations room became a hub of collaboration as they analyzed every detail: the alien symbols, the melodic tones, and the subtle gestures exchanged during their meeting. Emily took the lead in deciphering patterns, while Lisa focused on refining the equipment used for communication. Alex kept watch over the perimeter, ensuring the base remained secure. Meanwhile, aboard their cloaked ship, Commander Zorvath and his crew were equally busy. The encounter had left them deeply intrigued by humanity's willingness to engage peacefully. Zorvath called a meeting with his senior officers, including Lieutenant Vela, to discuss their next steps. "They are more advanced than we anticipated," Zorvath admitted, pacing slowly across the command deck. "Their ability to adapt and communicate despite our technological superiority is remarkable. And their leader, this Ryan Mitchell, he shows wisdom beyond what I expected." Vela nodded thoughtfully. "Do you think they pose a threat, sir? Their curiosity could easily turn into hostility if they feel cornered." Zorvath paused, considering her words. "For now, I believe they are sincere in their desire for peace. But we must tread carefully. Our mission was to assess Earth's potential as allies or adversaries. So far, they lean toward the former, but trust takes time to build." Back on Earth, Ryan decided it was time to take the next step. He proposed setting up a larger display near the clearing where they'd first met the aliens. This time, they would include images of Earth's landscapes, cities, and people, along with recordings of music and spoken languages. It was a bold move, designed to show the aliens the diversity and creativity of humanity. When the team arrived at the site, they worked quickly to set up the display. A large screen showed looping videos of oceans, mountains, and bustling urban centers. Speakers played a mix of classical symphonies, traditional folk songs, and modern beats. Nearby, smaller tablets displayed written messages in multiple languages. "We come in peace. Who are you? And let us learn from each other." As night fell, the team waited anxiously, unsure if the aliens would respond. The temperature dropped sharply, and the forest grew silent except for the occasional rustle of leaves. Just when doubt began to creep in, the familiar hum returned. The shimmer appeared once more, revealing the sleek outline of the alien ship. This time, 3 figures emerged. One of them, taller and broader than the others, seemed to be their leader. Ryan recognized it as the same individual who had mirrored his gesture of peace during their first meeting. The aliens moved closer, studying the displays with evident fascination. When a clip of children laughing played through the speakers, one of the aliens tilted its head, making a soft sound that resembled a chuckle. Encouraged, Ryan stepped forward again, holding up the tablet with mathematical equations. The alien leader responded by touching the screen, adding new symbols that glowed faintly. Emily quickly recorded the exchange, her fingers flying over her keyboard as she tried to decode the meaning behind the markings. Then came a breakthrough. Using the tablet, the aliens projected an image of their own planet, a distant world with swirling purple skies and towering crystalline structures. They followed it with a series of coordinates, presumably indicating their location in space. The message was clear. They wanted to share information about themselves. Ryan glanced at his team, his heart pounding with excitement. "They're inviting us to understand them," he said softly. "This is bigger than any of us imagined." As the night wore on, both sides continued to exchange knowledge. The humans showed videos of scientific achievements, art, and moments of global unity. In return, the aliens shared intricate diagrams of their technology and glimpses of their culture, which seemed to revolve around harmony and collective effort. By the time the aliens boarded their ship and disappeared into the sky, Ryan felt a profound sense of accomplishment. For the first time, humanity had taken a meaningful step toward connecting with another species. As he led his team back to the base, he couldn't help but wonder, what would come next? The sight sent a shiver down Ryan's spine, but he forced himself to stay calm. The lead alien tilted its head, studying the humans with an expression that seemed almost curious. After a moment, it raised one long-fingered hand and mimicked Ryan's gesture, a mirror image of the peace sign. Lisa gasped softly, her eyes wide with wonder. They're responding. Encouraged, Ryan took another step forward, pointing again to the tablet. The aliens exchanged glances, then approached slowly. One of them reached out, touching the screen with delicate precision. The symbols flickered, reacting to their touch. It was clear they understood, or at least recognized, the concept of communication. Emily stepped closer, holding up her own device. She tapped out a sequence of prime numbers, a classic method used in human attempts to contact extraterrestrial life. To everyone's amazement, the aliens responded by repeating the sequence, adding another number to the chain. They're intelligent. Emily breathed, her voice trembling with excitement. And they're willing to talk. As the exchange continued, both sides grew bolder. The humans showed more symbols, images of Earth, and even recordings of music. In return, the aliens demonstrated their own form of language, strange, melodic tones that resonated in the air. Though neither side fully understood the other, the foundation for dialogue had been laid. By the time the aliens retreated back into their ship, the humans were left awestruck. For the first time, humanity had made contact with an alien species, not through conflict, but through curiosity and cooperation. As the shimmer faded and the forest fell silent once more, Ryan turned to his team, a small smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "We did it," he said quietly. "Now the real work begins." The next morning, Ryan gathered his team once again in the operations room. The air was thick with anticipation as they reviewed the data collected overnight. Lisa had been working tirelessly on her scanner, trying to isolate the energy signature left behind by the alien craft. Her face lit up when she finally found something significant. "I think I've got it," she announced, pointing to a series of spikes on her screen. "This is the energy pattern from their ship. It's unlike anything we've ever seen, but it's consistent. If they come back, we'll be able to track them." Ryan nodded approvingly. "Good work. That gives us an edge if things go south." He turned to Emily, who had been poring over star charts and satellite imagery. "Any luck figuring out where they might have come from?" Emily shook her head, frustration evident in her expression. "Not yet. Their ship doesn't match any known designs, and there's no record of anything like this in our databases. Whoever they are, they're way ahead of us technologically." Alex, who had been unusually quiet, spoke up. "So what's the plan? Are we just going to sit here and wait for them to make the next move?" Ryan hesitated, then shook his head. "No, we need to take the initiative. If they're watching us, and I'm sure they are, we need to show them we're not afraid. But we also can't provoke them. We'll head back to that clearing, set up some equipment, and try to establish communication. If they want to talk, we'll give them a chance." Preparations began immediately. The team packed additional gear, including recording devices, signal amplifiers, and even a large digital display tablet loaded with basic symbols and mathematical equations, universal languages they hoped would bridge the gap between species. They knew the attempt was risky, but doing nothing felt worse. When they arrived at the clearing, the atmosphere was eerily calm. The snow-covered landscape stretched endlessly, broken only by the dark shapes of trees lining the edges. Ryan directed Lisa to set up the equipment while Alex kept watch, his rifle slung over his shoulder. Emily worked alongside Ryan, arranging the tablet so it faced outward, hoping to catch the attention of their unseen visitors. For hours, nothing happened. The cold seeped through their layers of clothing, and the silence grew heavier with each passing minute. Just as doubt began to creep in, a faint hum filled the air, the same sound they'd heard before. Everyone froze, their eyes scanning the clearing. Then, slowly, the shimmer returned, revealing the sleek outline of the alien ship. "They're here," Alex whispered, his voice tight with tension. Ryan stepped forward cautiously, raising one hand in what he hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "We don't want to fight," he said aloud, knowing they probably wouldn't understand him. He pointed to the tablet behind him, which displayed simple numbers and shapes. "We're trying to communicate." At first, there was no response. Then, a section of the ship's surface shifted, forming a doorway. A figure emerged, tall and slender, with smooth, grayish skin and large, almond-shaped eyes. It moved gracefully, its steps deliberate and unhurried. Behind it, another figure followed, slightly shorter but equally imposing. Back aboard their cloaked ship, Commander Zorveth and his crew were in a state of quiet tension. The brief flicker in their cloaking field had been unexpected, a minor malfunction caused by Earth's unusually strong magnetic fields, but it was enough to reveal their presence to the humans below. Zorvath watched the surveillance footage intently, his large, dark eyes studying the reactions of the three figures standing in the snowy clearing. "They saw us," Lieutenant Vela said, her tone sharp with concern. She turned to face Zorvath, her slender frame tense. "What do we do now? Do we retreat?" Zorvath hesitated, his long fingers tapping rhythmically against the control panel. He replayed the footage, focusing on the leader of the human group, the one called Ryan Mitchell. There was something about him that intrigued Zorvath. Despite the obvious shock of seeing an alien craft, Ryan had not panicked. Instead, he stood firm, his stance calm but alert, his weapon raised but not fired. It was a display of restraint that Zorvath hadn't anticipated from such a primitive species. "No," Zorvath replied finally, shaking his head. "We stay. This is an opportunity, a chance to learn more about them." Vela frowned. "But sir, they've seen us. If they report this to their superiors, we risk exposure. Our mission was meant to be covered." "I am aware of that," Zorvath said firmly. "But consider this, they could have attacked when the cloak failed. Instead, they chose to observe. That tells me they are intelligent and cautious, qualities we should respect. For now, we continue to monitor. Let us see how they respond." Meanwhile, back in the clearing, Ryan and his team remained frozen for several moments after the ship vanished again. The silence was thick, broken only by the sound of their breathing and the distant rustle of trees swaying in the wind. Finally, Lisa broke the silence. "Okay, I'm officially freaked out," she admitted, clutching her scanner tightly. "That thing, it wasn't human. It wasn't even anything I've ever seen before." Alex adjusted his grip on his rifle, scanning the area warily. "Whatever it is, it knows we're here. And it's still watching us." Ryan nodded slowly, his mind working through the implications. Whoever, or whatever, was piloting that ship had technology far beyond anything humanity possessed. Yet, despite having the upper hand, they hadn't attacked. That gave him hope. Maybe they weren't enemies. Still, he couldn't afford to let his guard down. "Let's get back to base," Ryan said, his voice low but steady. "We need to figure out our next move. But remember, this stays between us. If word gets out, it could cause panic." The trio retraced their steps carefully, keeping an eye out for any further signs of activity. When they returned to the base, Emily was waiting anxiously in the operations room. Her face lit up with relief when she saw them, but her expression quickly shifted to alarm as they recounted what they'd witnessed. "You're serious?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "An actual alien spacecraft here?" "As serious as it gets," Ryan confirmed. He pulled up a map of the area on the screen. "We need to keep monitoring that location. If they come back, or if they try to contact us, we need to be ready." Over the next few hours, the team worked tirelessly to gather more information. Lissa analyzed the energy readings from the scanner, trying to pinpoint exactly what kind of technology the aliens were using. Alex reviewed footage from the base's security cameras, searching for any clues they might have missed. Meanwhile, Emily cross-referenced their findings with every known database, hoping to find some precedent for what they'd encountered. As night fell, the base grew quieter, but the tension remained palpable. Outside, snow continued to fall softly, blanketing the world in white. Inside, the team sat together in the operations room, exhausted but determined. They knew they were dealing with something extraordinary, something that could change everything they thought they knew about the universe. And somewhere above them, hidden from view, Commander Zorvith and his crew observed silently, equally uncertain about what the future held. Both sides were wary, curious, and unprepared for the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. Ryan Mitchell couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The strange interference in the base's systems had only grown worse over the past few hours. Equipment malfunctioned sporadically, and faint traces of an unfamiliar energy signature lingered in the air. It wasn't just a technical issue. It felt deliberate, like someone or something was probing them. He knew he needed answers, and fast. The next morning, Ryan called a small meeting with Lieutenant Emily Dawson and two other trusted members of his team. Sergeant Alex Carter, a seasoned sniper with years of combat experience, and Corporal Lisa Bennett, a tech expert who could dismantle and rebuild almost any piece of machinery. They gathered in a secure briefing room, where Emily projected her findings onto a large screen. "I've been tracking these anomalies," Emily began, pointing to a series of graphs and maps. "They're concentrated around the northern perimeter of the base. Whatever is causing this isn't natural." She paused, glancing at Ryan. "And it's getting closer." Alex leaned forward, his sharp eyes narrowing. "You think it's some kind of spy drone? Maybe another country trying to get intel on us?" "It's possible," Ryan replied, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. "But if it were human technology, we have picked up on it by now. This feels different." Lisa chimed in, her voice steady but tinged with excitement. "I've analyzed the energy readings. They don't match anything in our database. If I didn't know better, I'd say it's alien." The room fell silent for a moment. The word hung in the air, heavy and unreal. Alien. It sounded like something out of a movie, not a real threat. But none of them dismissed the idea outright. After all, they were trained to deal with the unknown, no matter how unlikely it seemed. "We need to investigate," Ryan said finally, breaking the silence. "If there's something out there, we can't afford to sit back and wait for it to make a move. Emily, you'll stay here and keep monitoring the signals. Alex, Lisa, and I will head out to the perimeter and see what we can find." Preparations were quick and efficient. Ryan armed himself with a standard-issue rifle, while Alex carried a high-powered sniper rifle, and Lisa brought along a portable scanner designed to detect unusual energy sources. Dressed in cold weather gear, the trio stepped outside into the biting Alaskan wind. Snow crunched beneath their boots as they moved cautiously toward the area where the anomalies had been detected. The forest surrounding the base was eerily quiet, the kind of stillness that made every sound stand out. Branches creaked in the breeze, and the occasional rustle of leaves hinted at unseen wildlife. But there was something else, a faint hum, barely audible but constant, like the buzz of electricity. Lisa held up her scanner, which emitted a soft beeping noise as it locked onto the source of the energy. "This way," she whispered, leading the group deeper into the woods. They moved slowly, weapons at the ready, their breaths visible in the freezing air. As they approached a clearing, the hum grew louder, almost overwhelming. Then suddenly, they saw it, or rather, they didn't. A shimmer in the air, like heat rising off asphalt, distorted the view ahead. It was faint, nearly invisible, but unmistakably unnatural. "What the hell is that?" Alex muttered, lowering his rifle slightly. Before anyone could respond, the shimmer flickered, revealing a glimpse of something metallic and sleek. It looked like a ship, hovering silently just above the ground. The sight sent a chill down Ryan's spine. For a moment, no one moved. Then, without warning, the ship's surface rippled again, and the cloaking effect stabilized, hiding it from view once more. "Well," Lisa said softly, her voice trembling with awe, I guess we found our anomaly. Ryan tightened his grip on his rifle, his mind racing. Whoever, or whatever, was inside that ship had been watching them. And now, they knew they'd been spotted. The question was, what would happen next? In a distant part of the galaxy, far beyond the reach of Earth's most powerful telescopes, an alien reconnaissance ship slipped silently through the void. Its sleek, metallic surface shimmered faintly as it adjusted its course, zeroing in on a small blue planet that floated peacefully in the darkness. The ship belonged to a race known as the Valens, beings of advanced technology and sharp intellect. Their mission was clear: assess Earth's potential as either allies or threats. What they found, however, would leave them stunned. Commander Zorveth stood at the center of the ship's control room, his tall, slender frame illuminated by the soft glow of holographic displays. His large, almond-shaped eyes scanned the data streaming in from their scans of Earth. "This planet is teeming with life," he said, his voice calm but filled with curiosity. Around him, the crew worked efficiently, their movements precise and deliberate. They were gathering information about Earth's inhabitants, focusing particularly on signs of military activity. The scans revealed something unexpected. Scattered across continents were sprawling facilities where humans trained rigorously in combat. These places buzzed with energy, showing evidence of advanced weaponry and disciplined soldiers. Zorvath leaned closer to one of the screens, studying footage of men and women moving in perfect synchronization during drills. Their strength, speed, and coordination were impressive, even by Valen standards. "Earth's warriors are more organized than we anticipated," murmured Lieutenant Vela, Zorvath's second-in-command. She pointed to a specific location, a remote base hidden deep within the icy wilderness of Alaska. "This facility appears to house some of their elite fighters. Look at how they operate. It's almost artistic." Zorvath nodded thoughtfully. He had expected Earth to be primitive compared to the Valen's own civilization. Instead, what they discovered was a species capable of remarkable feats despite their relatively limited technology. The commander gave the order to focus their surveillance on the Alaskan base. If they wanted to understand humanity's true potential, this was the place to start. Unbeknownst to the Valens, their presence did not go entirely unnoticed. At the same time, thousands of miles below them, Captain Ryan Mitchell was growing uneasy. A seasoned officer with years of experience under his belt, Ryan had always trusted his instincts, and right now, they were screaming that something wasn't right. Strange glitches had begun appearing in the base's communication systems. Static crackled over radios, and equipment acted up without explanation. Ryan walked briskly down a narrow corridor, his boots echoing against the cold metal floor. He stopped outside a door marked Operations Room and entered. Inside, Lieutenant Emily Dawson sat hunched over a computer, her brow furrowed in concentration. Emily was known for her sharp mind and ability to spot patterns others missed. When Ryan approached, she looked up, her expression serious. "Sir, I've been analyzing the interference," she said, gesturing to the screen. "It's not random. There's a pattern here, and it doesn't match anything we've seen before." She pulled up a series of graphs and charts, pointing out anomalies that hinted at an external source. Ryan crossed his arms, his jaw tightening. "You think someone's spying on us?" Emily hesitated. "I don't know, sir, but whatever it is, it's not human." Her words hung heavy in the air between them. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Ryan broke the silence. "Keep digging," he said firmly. "And let's keep this between us for now. If there's something, or someone, out there watching us, I want to know everything about them before we act." As Ryan left the room, his mind raced with possibilities. He had faced many challenges in his career, but nothing like this. Was it a new enemy, or something else entirely? Little did he know, the answers lay just above him, concealed among the stars. And soon, both sides would come face to face in ways neither could have imagined.